Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Training. Today, we are going to talk about celebrating the small wins. So this is a big thing when it comes to working for yourself, right? So being your own boss has a lot of perks to it, right? So you get to decide when you work. You get to decide when you don't work. You get to decide if you're going to take some time off. You get to decide all the different things, right? You have so many choices in what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and everything else that goes along, right? As your own boss, though, one of the things that I think that we tend to forget is that we are our biggest cheerleader. So if you are not celebrating the small wins, if you're not celebrating the big, most of us usually celebrate the big wins, right? Most of us. But if you're not celebrating anything, then you can find yourself getting stuck into a position to where you feel like you aren't making any progress. And that can be like being stuck in a huge mud puddle, right? Where you can't get your feet out. And if you do, then your shoes are still stuck down in the mud, right? You can get stuck, and nobody wants to get stuck because it's frustrating. It can just bring down the whole vibe, right? So in order to make sure that we are staying on top of everything we want to stay on top of and running our businesses the way that we want to run them, then we have to take care of ourselves. And part of that is celebrating those small wins. When I first started working my business as a business, right? So years ago, I really wish that I had had this advice, by the way, but I'm wanting to share this with all of you, especially those of you who are newer or find yourself in the mud, right? Maybe you're in the mud and you just can't quite figure out how to get your legs or your feet out of there, right? We got to figure out a way to get out. One thing that I started doing, because again, I started off working this as a hobby. So I didn't have all of the business mindset things going at that time. I didn't have goals. I didn't have anything that I was working towards every single month. I didn't really touch my business that often, to be completely honest, right? It was more or less, maybe on the weekend, right? Because I was working full time and crazy hours, overnight shifts, right? And so I didn't make time for my business. It wasn't a business, right? I only found myself talking about it every so often, even only sharing about it every so often, even on social media. And along the way, when that mindset shifted to, I'm going to work this as a business, I'm going to give this a try, see what's going to happen for me, I started finding that I was hitting some of these small wins or victories, right? But I wasn't feeling satisfaction when I did it. For example, the very first time, and again, this was years and years and years ago, now we have active status as 200 PRV, right? 200 PRV. When I was starting out, it was 150. So 150, here I'll stop. 150. It may seem like that should have been easier, right? It wasn't, especially for somebody who I was working it as a hobby, wasn't really doing the business thing. And then when I started thinking about it as a business, I was like, how the heck am I supposed to do this? How the heck do I even start? Where do I start? Who do I talk to? I don't know what to do. So getting to that point to where the very first time that I hit active status, I should have celebrated, right? Instead, what did I do? I played the comparison game because I would see on the Facebook groups and all over in social media, well, not all over because it really wasn't that popular, but anyway, I would see out there people celebrating those larger victories, right? So maybe those people who were getting the monthly sales award, that 2,000 PRV or more, right? I would see people who were sponsoring 4 or 5 new team members that month. I would see people who were closing parties that the party was just so effortlessly done, and it was like a $700 party at the end of the day. And I'm sitting over here with my, oh my gosh, I scraped together, I talked to a couple people, and I got 150 in sales. So I got to be active for the first time, and I felt so small in that moment. I felt like an imposter. You guys get that imposter syndrome, right? Where you feel like, yeah, I did it, but I really don't feel like I earned it, or I really don't feel like I did anything. Honestly, I feel like an imposter. That's the imposter syndrome, or the comparison that will come in. And while I should have, again, hindsight's 2020, right? While I should have been celebrating those victories and saying, great job, Jacqui, you got active, I didn't. And so what happened is, all I did is I started to put more pressure on myself. Like, well, obviously this getting active isn't a big deal, right? I need to do more. I should be way up there with these other people. And I don't know where I fit with all of this. I don't know if I'm really cut out for all of this. Maybe I just am not good enough. All of that starts to happen, right? I eventually kept at it, though. Something in here kept telling me to continue to work. Maybe my little voice, that little voice in the back, right? That says, you can do it. But you don't really say it out loud because you're like, it's not me. As you continue to start celebrating the small victories, though, the first time you get active, the first time that you sponsor a new team member, it's great to have other people cheering for you. It's wonderful to do. But it's not going to always happen. And there's going to be moments where you feel uncelebrated by others. And so in those moments, then you feel bad if you celebrate yourself, right? Again, imposter syndrome. I really don't deserve that recognition. I really don't deserve that shout out. Yeah, that's probably why, my sponsor, my upliner, whoever didn't congratulate me or anything, because, it's not that big of a deal. People do much bigger things in this business every single day. So my little thing is not that big of a thing. And you go on about your business, right? And slowly but surely, if you stay in that mindset, then you will end up walking and thinking your way out of this business. I've seen it happen to many consultants over the years. I've fallen into the trap myself over the years. Because let me tell you, it was probably about year 3 of my business, right? I'd been a consultant for a while. I want to say I was a star consultant at that point in time, maybe a lead or star, right around there, right? I was doing fairly well. I had a decent size team. My sales weren't that hot, right? But I thought I was doing something right. I seemed to be growing a little bit, but I got to the point to where, again, I wasn't celebrating myself, and I wasn't getting any celebration. So all of that just made me feel like this is not my path. This is not it. And I will tell you guys, I was this close to terminating my business with Scentsy. Obviously, looking back, I'm like, geez, look at what you would have given up, right? But in that moment, in that headspace, in that mindset, that's where I was. And you have to be able to realize that you're not an imposter. You're not less than others. That you were called to do certain things. And whether or not you believe it, you are worthy of all the success and all the accolades that you should be giving yourself. I know it seems silly to say, oh, well, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, or I don't want to, I've done this myself, right? I'll go on and be like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but guess what I did today, right? Toot away. Pat yourself on the back. Do it all day long. Write yourself this cool sign and stick it on the wall. If you're celebrating the small wins in your business, then those small wins are going to be what gets you to those big wins. And maybe that's the dollar amount that you're looking to earn. Maybe that's being able to say, I promoted to fill in the blank, right? Because that usually changes for a lot of us. All of those things start to add up and stack and stack and stack and stack. And so the celebration of each step along the way in your journey is truly what is the most important thing. And again, let me tell you, it's going to feel like nobody is celebrating you. It's going to feel like you're being silly for celebrating yourself. But if nobody tells you today, you are worthy. And you are worthy of celebrating yourself. And you should be celebrating yourself in every win, no matter how small. One of my favorite books, I have a lot from my childhood that I kind of took into adulthood, but one of my favorite books is Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. And if you've seen the movie, you've probably heard it there too, but I used to love, I still do. I love reading, right? Reading is my passion. I love it. I find a lot of inspiration and I take a lot away from it. It's kind of my me time. But in the book, Horton Hears a Who, one of the probably infamous lines from that book and or movie is, a person's a person, no matter how small. Obviously, in the connotation and the context of the book, it's all about, you know, they're the small people who live on this speck, on this tiny little flower that only Horton can hear, right? Nobody else can hear it. And so therefore, they don't believe that there are these tiny small people on this little speck. What is he talking about? He must be crazy. We can kind of relate that to our businesses, right? A win is a win, no matter how small. You had a conversation today with somebody, that's a win. You logged in and looked at maybe the news tab or ran a report in the reporting tab, that's a win. Oh my gosh, you closed the party today? That's a win. Oh my gosh, you hit a lifetime PRV goal? That's a win. All of these things add up. All of these things are steps that are going to get you to where you want to be, not only in your business, but in your own life, right? And where you want to be as a whole. Are you working towards that financial freedom or retiring your spouse or doing this full time? All of those things, right? Are those part of your goals? Well, let me tell you, you cannot go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow and be there tomorrow. Because why? Because you have to have all the steps. You have to take the stairs. And the stairs have to be there. And those stairs are all of those small wins. So when you are having a small win, I encourage you guys to get into this group, and I want you to share it. Just share it. And I guarantee you it's not anything that is going to be like, oh, I'm going to feel like I'm bragging about myself, or I'm going to feel like I'm an imposter, right? Again, there's that imposter syndrome. Other people are doing much bigger things than I am. Yeah, they might be, right? We know people who are hitting that monthly sales goal every single month, 2,000 PRV or more, right? We do. We see it. We see people closing all these parties. We see everybody earning incentives, right? Different levels, all the things. Yay, it's so exciting. You're like, oh, here I am, just trying to get active for the month. I think I can do it. I don't know. Right? It creeps in. And so I encourage you to celebrate the small wins, because every single person who has earned that incentive, who has hit that monthly sales award, who has had that killer Facebook party that you've been trying to have forever, every single one of those people has had to go through all of the steps to get there. Because all of us when we clicked that join button for the very first time, what happened, right? We had no wins. No wins on the table. Nothing had happened, but we clicked the word join and we filled the form out, put in our information. Boom, we're consultants. Happy join day. Now what the hell do I do? You had to have those small wins in order to figure out what you wanted to do with your business, how you wanted to work your business, and where you really wanted to go with your business. It's a huge thing. And Trina, you're right. It can happen the same with the big wins as well. But if we continue to celebrate those moments, we can find that what is going to happen is those small wins are going to end up giving us inspiration at the end of the day. Not everybody else, but I will say that it is very inspirational when you're a newer consultant or just starting out as a business to see other people celebrating those small wins, we'll tell you, because then you feel what? Not alone. It's a big thing to feel not alone. Do you ever feel not alone? I do. Sometimes I feel like I'm all alone. I'm the only one going through blah, right? At the end of the day, everybody goes through the muck. Everybody gets stuck in the mud. And we have to be able to pull ourselves out. We have to be able to celebrate the things that we are working towards. And reminding ourselves that every step we take in our business is one step closer towards the goal each month, daily, weekly, however you set your goals. And whatever it is that you're working towards. It's going to be different for all of you. And it's going to probably change over time too, right? Again, your goals are going to grow and increase as you grow and increase. So we need to be sure that we are celebrating our small wins. So there's a couple different ways that you can do that, right? Now, of course, the first thing that probably comes to mind is, oh, I'm going to go shout it out. Now, like I said a little bit ago, I am going to encourage you to share those small wins with us here on this page. You are in a safe space. It's Vegas rules in my world. And so what happens here stays here, right? So please know that that is something that you can most certainly do. And I guarantee you others are going to cheer for you in this group because I know a lot of people in this group. I can tell you they will cheer for your small wins, no matter how small you may think it is. You had a booking conversation today? But maybe you didn't book the party, right? You're like, that's not a win. Yeah, it was, because you still had the conversation. That's a win. Again, it's recognizing what those wins are that is really going to help you to determine. Sorry if you hear all that. Heroes trying to dig into a new stuffed animal. All of those things are what needs to happen in order to get you to your goals. And if you aren't celebrating those things, then let me tell you, you're quickly going to find that you are having that imposter syndrome creep in, that you're not worthy, that other people are better, and you're never going to succeed, and boom, you're going to literally fall off the side of the earth, right? You just are. We have to be celebrating all of those things. It doesn't have to necessarily be on social media, though. Maybe what it looks like is treating yourself to maybe, you know what, I did really well in my business this week. I had 3 conversations. 1 of them went really well. 2 of them didn't go so well, but I had some conversations this week, right? So maybe that's taking yourself out to go get a Starbucks. Maybe that is saying, you know what, I earned a nap today. I'm going to take a nap. That's a big deal in my book, take a nap. But that's kind of one of my super special rewards to myself is taking a nap, because it doesn't happen very often. So it can be something behind the scenes, but I want you, the real challenge here is I want you to be able to recognize those wins and recognize the fact that you are doing something to move your business forward. even with the smallest win. A person's a person no matter how small. A win is a win no matter how small. At the end of the day, the things that we're doing in our business are the things that are going to work for us, right? So we have to be having conversations. So if you're somebody who you've been working your way up to have those, I was there. Working your way up to have those conversations, because it can be intimidating and scary and it's just not for me, and it's feeling way out of your comfort zone to have those conversations. And when you finally do, I want you to celebrate, whether or not that's sharing it here, whether or not that's giving yourself a nap, whether or not that's saying, you know what, I deserve a Starbucks today, and driving yourself up to Starbucks and getting whatever it is that you want today. I would highly suggest the strawberry funnel cake frappuccino, by the way. But you need to celebrate yourself. Because let me tell you, as your star director, I absolutely want to celebrate every single person's win every single day. I'm just one person though. I can't. As much as I want to, I probably could not. I'd love to, but there's just not enough time. I want you to realize that you do have people who recognize what the small wins are. And not everybody will, okay? Let me just preface that now. I don't want your balloon to burst later on when maybe you do go and celebrate that small win and somebody says, so? Or nobody likes your post if you did it on social media, or your spouse or your kids are like, good for you, right? I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care if anybody else notices. What you have to focus on is that you care, because at the end of the day, the only person who matters is the one who's going to look back at you in the mirror. So before you go to bed that night, say your prayers, have your affirmations, do your meditation, whatever it is that is your nightly routine. I want you to take 5 seconds and look yourself in the mirror and say, I did fill in the blank. I asked somebody to have a party today. Maybe they said yes, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But you did. You asked. That's the win. You went live and opened a box on your Facebook or your Instagram or wherever, right? But you only got like a couple of likes. That's a win. You still did it. You still did the thing, right? Success isn't necessarily measured by likes and comments. It just is not. I know it might seem that way on social media, but it is not. And I posted a tweet the other day and I shared it on my Instagram. I know I shared it on my Instagram. I don't know about my Facebook. But it's simply reminding yourself of the fact of everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but there are people who are working and who are having all of those small wins that we just don't know anything about, because they're not sharing it. They're not celebrating it online, right? And what happens in this day and age, right? If you don't see it online, it didn't happen. Not necessarily. The person looking back at you in the mirror every single night is going to be the one who's going to tell you whether or not it happened, right? So if this means making this a part of your routine, and if it seems silly and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard, I'm challenging you to try this for 1 week, every single night before you go to bed. Even if you got to go into the bathroom, shut the door for 5 seconds because you don't want your family to hear you. That's how embarrassed you are to do this. I still want you to do it. And I want you to look at yourself, the person looking back at you in your mirror, and say, I had a small win today. It was, and do it for a week. And I guarantee you by the, Hero, can you be a little quieter, please? Shh. At the end of the week, after doing that every single day for 7 days, I'm talking a whole week, a whole 7 days of doing this, I want you to look back and I want you to see how you feel about yourself when it comes to your business. See if it made a difference for you. Did it help you to recognize yourself more? To say, I am worthy. Maybe really I am worthy. Maybe I really can do this. Something to think about, right? Because there's going to be a million times, probably 1,000,001 times during your business that you are going to feel less than, that you are going to feel like you do not compare, that you feel like you do not measure up. And I want to tell you that you do. And I want to remind you that even the people who are having the best PRV months or who are sponsoring the most people every single month and earning all of the things, that they too, every single day or every week or whatever it is, they are having those small wins. You just don't see them. You're seeing the big ones, right? Because that's usually when the shout outs come, or that's usually when somebody will post and be like, OMG, look what I did today, or look what I accomplished, right? That's usually what we see. So we don't see those small wins. So when you're looking at yourself, you're like, okay, for 1, the small ones don't count. For 2, it's probably not such a big deal. And for 3, I'm probably the only one who thinks that this is a win. No, you're not. Not. All 3 of those things are wrong. Because I will tell you, every single day that I have a conversation, that's a win. Every single day that I talk to somebody and give them information about joining or what it is to be a Scentsy consultant, that's a win. Every single day that I post online and maybe get a DM, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that scent that you shared. Can I have a sample? That's a win. I may not necessarily hop online and share it out all day long, right? But it's a win. And all of those things that I'm doing are all of the things that I have to do in order to get to where I want to be in my business. And I have to continue to do them every single day, every single week. Your small one is Canva. That's a win, right? That's awesome. You have to be able to tell yourself that you are worthy, you are capable, and that you can do the hard things. And that you can celebrate yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's you that matters. So if you're just starting out and you're like, what are some things that I want to celebrate? I don't know. Maybe it's having those conversations. Maybe it's getting somebody to finally say yes to a party. Maybe it's getting active for the first time. Maybe it's getting active every single month. And you're like, oh, thank you, baby Jesus. I did it. Right? Been there too. I've been there. Like I said, remember, I used to be so surprised at myself that I hit 150 in PRV. I was so excited. Nobody else was. And I was like, why is nobody else excited about this? This is a huge thing for me. Obviously, I was not giving myself enough credit at the end of the day. That's exactly right, Trina. You stepped on all of those things, all of those negative thoughts that you thought, I can't do this, or I'm never going to be as good at that as somebody else, right? But what did you do? You invested in yourself. You recognized, I'm going to try this, right? And now you're able to celebrate that win. That's a huge feeling. That's a huge feeling. And it's a huge win, no matter how small. So if you take nothing else from me, please take the fact that you have to start celebrating all the wins that you have in yourself, in your business, that God gives you, that He allows you to have the blessing and the opportunity to do. I'm excited just to be able to share this with you today, because today this is a small win for me. So have yourselves a fantastic week. Celebrate all of your wins, no matter how small. And remember that all of those wins are going to get you and start driving you to where you want to be in your business. I love you all. I'm celebrating you all. I'll talk to you later.